Welcome to Rick Rack Ruby. I'm Laura Cluvo. Today we will be making this large hanging angel from jelly roll strips. She's fun and easy, so let's get started. This collection is called Merry and Bright. It's from Moda and it's by me and my sister Designs. I like this because it's just got those traditional colors, sort of a timeless quality to it, and the motifs are cheerful and fun. I'm going to need 6 jelly roll strips for my angel. The 2 on the bottom need to be identical, and I like the bottom to be red. I feel like this one isn't quite red enough, but it might work, so there's an option. I really love to incorporate stripes too. Ooh, this one would be good, but oh, I only have 1. So that's a little disappointing. The polka dots would be good. I only have 1 of those too. Well, I do have 2 of these, so there's an option. And then for the next to the bottom, I like to use a stripe. Oh, here's a stripe, perfect. And I only need 1 of those. And then let's do a green. These are the strips that I've chosen. This will be at the top, and then this will be at the bottom. I'm going to gather up each one of these strips with my ruffler, classic ruffler. I have a Bernina, this is what I use, and I have the setting on 6. So that means that there will be a pleat every 6th stitch. If you're curious about how this works, I do have a video that describes how it works. I'm going to change my thread and use thread that matches each one of these strips. I don't usually do that because I'm kind of lazy and I'm not a perfectionist, but I thought that I would just try to be a little bit more professional this time and match the thread to the fabric. Also, I always cut off the selvages before I begin. And at the bottom, I'm probably going to have to join these 2 strips. And so what I'll do is I'll pleat each strip and then I'll sew them together. Sometimes if you have the seam in the middle of the strip and you try to run it through the ruffler attachment, it can get kind of hung up. So I pleat them first and then join them. I'm going to gather these up and then I'll be right back. Here are my ruffles. So this will be the top and then all the way down to the bottom. I'm sure that the very last one I'm going to use 2 strips. So this one's twice as long. I'm not quite sure about this one. I'm going to try not to. But at the top, I know that this first ruffle should be about 6 inches. So I'm going to measure 6 inches at the top. So that's at the top edge, at the gathered edge. I don't want to do any more than 6 inches, but a little less than 6 inches might be okay. Just as long as I can get the head through it, I should be all right. There we go. Now, this I don't need, so I'm going to save it because I can use this to make smaller angels, which I certainly will do. Now this next ruffle, it's white, so I'm going to thread my machine with white thread, and then I'm just going to top stitch this piece over the bottom of the red ruffle. And what I'm going to do is just make sure that the lower ruffle is on top. They overlap about this much. I want the edge of the top ruffle to be about where the stitching line is from the gathering. So about like that. Also, because of the direction of the pleating, you want to be sewing this way. So the needle is here because that way you can make sure that the pleats lay flat. If I had it this way, then my presser foot would get caught on each one of these pleats. So just be sure, and as your skirt gets longer and longer, this is going to move in toward the toward your machine. Here's my second tier, and I just want to show you how it looks. I trimmed this excess off, and I'm going to save that for another project. And I will add, I'm going to switch to green thread. I'm going to run this through the machine this way so it goes over the pleats easily, and I will be right back. There's my third tier. I have this much left, and I wanted to say that when I'm top stitching, this line of stitches is about halfway between the line from the ruffler and the top edge of the fabric. So it's about 1/4 of an inch. Now the stripe is next. I think we'll make it. We shall see. Here's my 4th tier, and if you look on the end, this was a tiny bit short. So I'm just going to kind of trim it like this. Just take that out, and I think when I seam that, it'll be fine. Okay, the last tier, the red, this will be the bottom of the dress. Here's how it looks. It's very full and ruffly. I only had this much left over from that doubled strip. Here's how it looks on the back. So you can see where my actual stitch lines were, and I also always backstitch in the beginning and at the end of those seams. Now I'm going to fold this in half, and I'm going to match up the edges here, and I'm going to seam up the back. I sewed up that side seam, and now I'll turn this right side out. There's our dress. Now here's her head. It's a 1.5 inch ball knob, so it's flat on the bottom, and I've already created the face. You can learn how to make the Rick Rack Ruby face by watching the Focus on Faces video. This is a 7/8 of an inch wooden spool. It's from Woodpile Fun from Hobby Lobby, and it says 7/8 of an inch, which I think is measured from here to here. Just as long as it fits right here on the flat side of the ball knob, we're good. So I'm going to apply some hot glue. Got some hot glue, and then I'm just going to press the spool onto the center there. You can also use wood glue or tacky glue, but then you'd have to wait for it to dry. And this is my 9-inch wide tool, and I'm going to cut 3 30-inch lengths, around 30 inches. You can use any color that you like, and you can use any fabric collection that you like. There's 3 strips. So now I'm going to determine the center of each strip and place them around the spool. So 1, 2, 3, like that. Then I have a double strand of heavy duty crafting thread. I'm going to wrap this very securely around the spool, and this is a little bit tricky. If you're making this with a child, this is the step you might want to do yourself. And then I'm going to tie it off. Where we're going is to be able to fold this down, and then this becomes the petticoat that fills in her skirt, her very full and ruffly skirt. So now I'm going to sort of push this up closer to the top of the spool, and then I'm going to apply some hot glue around here, and then pull the tool back down so it kind of gets stuck in the glue. It doesn't have to be perfect. This is underneath the dress. No one will see it. It's just to provide this fullness, to sort of fill in the skirt. Now let's just check. Sure, we've got plenty of room. And see, there is some excess length here in the petticoat that we will trim out later. And so now with the seam. Here's the seam in the back. That looks good. Okay, I'm going to get a needle and thread and my thimble, and I'm going to gather that up. There's the seam allowance on the inside, and I will secure my knot there on the inside, and then I'm just going to gather up around the top edge about 1/4 of an inch. There we go. There's the back. Here's the front. I'm going to pull that tight around her neck, wrap it, and then secure it in the back. I wrapped it fairly tight, but we are also going to glue it. I'm making sure that the seam is in the back center. Good. Then I'm going to lift it up and apply some glue right in here, just below those gathers, and then press the dress back down into that. That looks good. Now I'm going to trim off the petticoat down here. A red petticoat would also be super cute. Now we'll make her a lace collar. This is about 1 yard of flat white lace. I think it's going to look good against that red. And I'm just going to gather it up with a running stitch from the beginning to the end. There we go. Now I'll place this around her neck and join these 2 ends in the back. I'm going to put a little bit of glue right in here so that when I push the lace down, it's going to kind of stay up and not reveal that top edge of the fabric. Whenever I finish everything else, I think I'm going to add a holly leaf decoration here at her neck, and also a baker's twine bow of some sort. But let's get the hair done first. Here's my loopy mohair. I really like this one. It's kind of fine, so I have to wrap it a lot of times. But this one would also be good. Any yarn will work. You just kind of have to adjust how thick you want the hair to be. I'm thinking I'm going to wrap this about 50 times. I have 3 4x6 index cards. And I have my yarn on a ball so it rolls all over the place. And now I'll take this over to my sewing machine and I'm going to sew across the center here. Here's my hair. I'm going to tear the index card out, which is not that hard because it's already perforated from the sewing. That looks good. Okay, good. Now I'm going to glue the wig on her head like this, around this way. So I'll start by applying some glue right around the top of her head like a headband, like this, ear to ear, if she had ears, right? And then the center of this bundle will go right into the glue. That looks good. And then these ends are going to join together in the back. So I'll apply some glue from the ear to the back of the neck. And then I'm pressing that, that stitched seam right into that. And the same thing on this side. I'll apply some glue from here to here. Then I'll press this part into that. That looks good. Now I'm drawing this hair up into a little top knot, and I'm going to tie it off with some thread. I'm not worried about the back of the head because I have wings that are going to be glued over that. I'm more concerned with the front. So I'm going to wrap this and tie it off. I put the knot in the front but over to the side a little bit. And then I really like to sew through the hair if I can. That way I'm sure that this is tied off securely. I want it to be secure because this is going to have to support the weight of the entire project if I want to hang it. Cute. I think I'm going to add the hanging loop next. So I have this 1/16 inch ribbon, and I'm going to sew it below that little ponytail that's tied off. And make this nice and long. Just tie it into an overhand knot. That looks good. And then her halo, this is 20 gauge gold wire. That's about 8 inches. And I'm twisting the ends together to create this circle. Bend the stem up like an egg dipper, right? Like you're gonna dye Easter eggs, right? And then I'm gonna glue this into the center of her top knot. If you've been watching my videos for a while, you can probably say all these steps by heart. And then I'm going to add a little red bow. Look how cute. These are La Petite's Paper Studio. You can get these at Joann's or at Michael's. So that's going to go right there. Cute. I like these holly leaves. Oh, here. They're from Darice, D-A-R-I-C-E. And I got these on Amazon. 7/8 inch holly leaves with berries, 02001. They are really fun for a lot of projects. But I don't usually use the long stem. So I'm going to hold this like this so that I don't lose those holly berries. I don't want to lose those berries. And I'm going to cut it off maybe about just below where the tape begins so that the tape stays. And then I'll fold it back. Sometimes they break when you do this, but whatever. You know, we'll just do the best we can. And that's going to be glued right here. But I think first I'm going to add a little bow from Baker's Twine. This is just so cheerful. Look at this. Isn't that adorable? Okay, let's see. It's just, I mean, I think you have to smile when you see all these fabric prints together because they're just so fun and colorful and whimsical and crazy. I mean, you know, sometimes I like to do the vintage lace and all the pretty off-white, beautiful antique stuff, but, you know, I really like this look too. All right, so I'm just tying a bow and making it kind of big so that it'll come down her dress. I want it to be in front of this white. Okay, there we go. That looks good. Okay, and then I'm going to tie the ends into the little overhand knots. The ends of the streamers into overhand knots. There we go. And there's the bow, the loops, and the streamers. And then I'm just going to glue that right onto the top. Okay. So I actually glued it into the bow. For the wings, I started with a 6-inch square of red cardstock. I bought this package of red cardstock at Michael's. And I used, here's the scalloped circle die, and I die cut a scalloped circle. And you can see this is just a little bit smaller than 6 inches, so probably 5.5. And after I cut them out, I folded them in half, and I tried a couple of different decorative stitches, but ultimately I like just the basic zigzag the best, so I'm going to use this one. The needle in my sewing machine needle pierced through this way, so this is the top, and this has a little bit rougher surface, and so I'm going to make sure that this is the part that shows. So let's see how this works. This looks like a nice proportion and a good color. So I'm going to put some hot glue right here, about the size of a nickel, and then I'll press that onto the back of her head. Try to get that centered. I know I'm standing up, so my voice is probably loud and weird right now, but you know, this is kind of a big project and I'm better off with a bird's eye view. I like that. That is nice and secure. Thank you for watching my tutorial. If you're enjoying my videos, please like, share, and subscribe.